I have a 3-tiered camera bag strategy. My basic camera bag is a smaller sling style bag that has all of the photography essentials for when I'm out for the day, and there's a pretty good chance that I'm gonna wanna capture some photos. But that's just level 1. For those moments when I need a little bit more gear, or maybe I'm gonna be shooting some video or doing some content creation, I also have a level 2 and a level 3 strategy. So I'm gonna walk you through all 3 levels of what's in my camera bag and talk about some of those essential pieces of photography gear that I bring with me every day. Level 1 is a smaller sling bag. This is actually the Nomadic sling, and I believe it's the Peter McKinnon Nomadic sling because it's got his signature on the top. But it is the medium-sized sling that they make, because they make a smaller one and they make a bigger one. But this one is kind of what I use to carry one camera. So when you open it up, you'll actually see there's a bunch of non-photography related gear. I literally just have a winter hat and some gloves, but I do have one camera. So right now I'm rocking the Hasselblad, and everyone's rolling their eyes. Oh, here he goes with the Hasselblad. But because it's a camera that I'm testing and it takes really nice high resolution photos, and also it's really small, so it kind of fits just perfectly inside the compartment, the main compartment of this sling, this is the camera that I'm bringing with me every day. But sometimes I'll swap that out for a new camera that I'm testing that maybe there might be a chance I want to take some photos with it, but I don't want to carry a bunch of video equipment or a bunch of microphones or a bunch of I don't want to carry any of that. So literally all I have is the camera, and then the only other piece of camera gear that I have, this is not camera gear, gum and moisturizer, because you know your hands get dry in the winter, and oh, look at this. Listen, your lips get dry too. If you don't have some sort of moisturizer or lip balm, you're doing something wrong. But then I do have an extra battery for whatever camera it is that I'm bringing with me. Now the nice thing about this sling is that there are some extra components in the front. So they have all of these, like there's like a little zipper pouch, there's these so you could like put some memory cards in there, or maybe you could, oh, hold on. Put our moisturizer in the little front compartment there. Gum, will the gum fit? Gum won't fit. What about the sunglasses? You always gotta have a pair of sunglasses, not only because they protect your eyes like ND filters for your camera. It's like the other way around now. It's the ND filters are for your eyes. But they look really good in photos. So these are Oakley Holbrooks, I believe. I used to have a green pair. I don't know where they are. I think I may have dropped them on the ground in Iceland. But inside the front zipper, so this guy right here, I will usually just jam a bunch of extra cables and accessories. So right now I have a USB-A to USB-C anchor cable, and then this really nice braided small rig cable that's all wrapped up. But having some sort of high speed charging or high speed cable so that you can charge things on the go, super important. Usually I have some sort of power brick, but I think right now it's in one of these bags, so I'll show you what power brick I'm using in just a minute. In every one of my camera bags, I'll have some sort of multi-tool or utility tool, or in this case, I have a very inexpensive like Kershaw knife, and it is nothing fancy. This is like a $40 knife, but the idea is that, you know, if the mailman randomly shows up, finds you in the middle of wherever you are, and you have a random box that you need to unbox, then you're prepared. Level 2 is where it gets a little bit more intense. So this is the bag that I use when I am downtown and I'm out for the day and I have a camera and I have some lenses and a little bit more gear that I need to bring with me. Right from the beginning, you'll notice that there is a tripod attached to this bag, which is the Shimoda Urban Explorer. This is the 20-liter version, but you'll see just how much gear I have. I'll start with the tripod. You've probably seen this before. This is the Ulanzi Coman Zero Wide tripod, but I've put my own ball head onto that. If you wanna see a video, I actually did a totally separate video comparing this tripod to a bunch of others that I'll link at the end. On the other side, I have this, which is the one piece of gear, which is not really gear because it's a water bottle, but I get questions about this all the time. It is a inflatable, collapsible, rollable water bottle. And I'll link all of these things, the bags, the tripods, all the weird things that I'm mentioning down in the description below so you can check them out. But the nice thing with this is that when you're done with it, you can roll it up and that is what you're left with. So instead of carrying a massive water bottle or this massive thing that is now empty, you can take that, you can throw it in your camera bag, and it's done and out of the way. Behind door number 2 is a USB-C cable. USB-C cable. You'll notice that there is a pass-through that goes into my camera bag, and there is actually a battery bank on the inside of my camera bag. So if I need to charge my phone, or if my camera battery is dying and I wanna still be able to hold onto my camera, take that, plug it in, and I can charge devices as I'm walking around. Now, before we get into the main compartment, I'm gonna show you that in the front of this bag, there is also a sleeve, and I have 2 of these little pouches. I'm not gonna show you what's inside of them, but remember these, and we'll talk about them in a bit. Usually I also like to throw my wallet and other things up front so they're easily accessible, but then in the top, I don't actually put any camera gear. What I will put is an extra layer. So an extra jacket, a rain jacket, something to keep me warm if I know it's gonna be cold later on, or if it's cold in the morning, I'll leave the space empty so that I can take layers off and just kind of shove them in there. Oh, look at this. That spoiled the surprise. If you saw my YouTube short on these, you'll know exactly what it is. This is one of those extra pieces of gear that, depending on what I'm doing and depending on what I need, I will either add or remove to my camera bag. So as you can see, with a quick blow of the blowy device, which is another bonus item, this is a Nitecore baby blower. It's designed to like remove all of the dust from the front of your camera lens. Don't use it to clean your camera sensor. That is not what this is for, but it has a little retractable brush, so you can kind of like lift all of the dust off of the surface of your camera lens and then just like turn it on and blow away anything that's left behind. But I was using it to inflate this. If it works, this is an inflatable tube light that is made by Ulanzi. It is a 20-watt equivalent light. There's an LED strip, you inflate it, and it basically replaces what you would normally use one of these for. So this is an Amaran aperture tube light. All of the lights that you're seeing, like this one over here, and there's one over there, are Amaran products, but I can't shove those into a camera bag. There's no way for me to transport them. Versus this is what, a 60, kind of like 1 meter long light tube. You can change the intensity, you can change the color temperature. So that is full brightness right there, and it'll give me about an hour of runtime, which is actually pretty good considering I have no idea where the battery is on this. And if you're wondering, well, like, what the heck do I do with it? Do I hold it? Do I attach it to something? Sometimes I will bring one of these with me. So this is a small rig magic clamp with a magnet that comes with the light, and then there are corresponding magnets on the back, and then you can have it on a clamp and attach it to a pole or rig it up to whatever you want. One last thing before we move on, because somehow I'm just a huge fan of Ulanzi products, or Falcam products, kind of 2 companies in one, but I am using the Falcam kind of like shoulder quick release camera. What are we agreeing to call these things? Camera clips? Camera release? Inside of my Urban Explorer, I have 1 camera and 1 extra lens. So this is the Canon R5 with my everyday lens. So this is the 15 to 35, but I'm also using the R5 Mark II, and the other lens that I'll often bring is the 70 to 200. So this way I can zoom in all the way to 200, get nice tight shots, or go to 70. And then if I want something that's a little bit wider, switch to the wide angle lens. 15 millimeters is nice if you're vlogging or filming yourself. But in order to film yourself, you also need audio. The microphone that I'm carrying inside of this bag is the DJI Mic 2. Now, you don't need to bring this whole case with you. You can kind of just bring this mini case, and then you've got the 2 transmitters and the receiver. And if you want to vlog, you would take that receiver, put it onto your camera, plug it in with the cable. But if you wanted to save space inside of your camera bag, you could literally just keep that receiver attached pretty much all the time. So sometimes if I know I'm gonna be out vlogging, or I know I'm gonna be out filming content, I'll literally just leave that on, or leave one of my other wireless mics on. I'll show you which one is inside of this bag, but that way you can save a little bit of space. One of the pieces that goes with me between camera bags is this, which is the Mindshift filter nest. So I've actually got this fully loaded because at any given time, I'm always testing new filters. Now, you know that I'm particularly fond of the Haida filter that has the 2-in-1 CPL and variable ND, but I also have, see, this is how I keep them. I screw them all together to save space. I have a Tiffin clear, Tiffin? It's got fingerprints on it, so that's probably not a good sign. A clear UV filter, and then I have a CPL and a fixed 10-stop ND. So if I'm doing long exposures, I'll grab this guy so that I can slow down my shutter speed, smooth out water, smooth out waterfalls, or smooth out motion. And then if I want to cut out reflections, I actually have this KNF Concept Nano X Pro that is kind of my go-to circular polarizer. But I'll link a whole bunch of videos down in the descriptions and in the cards that you can check out if you're curious exactly what filters I use and how I use them. Of course, I also carry a bunch of USB-C and USB-A cables. Pick up one that you like, pick up one that's braided so that it lasts a little bit longer. And then I carry this guy, which has quickly become one of my favorite accessories of the last year. this is a 2-in-1 PGY-Tech card reader and memory card storage device. So on one side, I have I almost said USB cards, SD cards and micro SD cards. And on the other, I have my CF Express Type B cards. And then there is a USB-C cable that comes out, and you can take this, plug it into your computer, and you may have noticed that there is a card reader built right into this holder. So I don't need to bring an extra piece of equipment, and it takes up minimal space, and then it kind of just shoves back together in this really nice rubberized case. You've probably seen me talk about this already, but instead of using a camera strap, I use this. And I guess you could think of it as a camera strap, but it is another one of those Falcam Ulanzi products. You can actually take your tripod plate. So on this camera, I have a Falcam F38 plate, but this also works with, I believe, PGY-Tech plates and the Peak Design plates, but that literally just connects into here, slides in, and now you have a camera strap. Instead of having to like attach it to the two rings, you just attach it to your tripod plate. And then when you're ready to move your camera from the strap to the tripod, you don't have a strap that is just dangling in the way and annoying you while you try and shoot your landscape photos. Both of my Shimoda bags have a laptop sleeve. Now I've actually got my M2 MacBook Pro. It's not even the fancy model. It's literally just the base model, because if I'm out on the go, I want something that I can rely on to edit. And although I am a PC guy and I have a full PC build on my channel that you can go and check out, when I'm out and I don't want to have to worry about a PC getting stuck up on editing Canon R5 files, the MacBook, even in the base configuration with like 16 gigs of RAM, does a really good job. But we're not gonna talk about that. We are gonna put the laptop away and save editing for another video. Big boy number 3. So this, my AirTag's going off. So yes, in case you were wondering, I do have an AirTag in each of my camera bags. This is the Shimoda Action X30 V2. I do have a V1 in black, but this is the 30-liter bag. Now, if I know I need a little bit more gear, I do have a 40-liter, and it's kind of the maximum size that if you're gonna be on an airplane and you wanna have a carry-on and you don't wanna go over the limit, but we wanna maximize the amount of gear that you can bring, I'll bring the 40-liter. But the 30-liter, which is this, is good for pretty much 90% of anything that I'll do, both travel-wise and out for the day shooting video and shooting content and shooting photo. Kind of like everything all in one nice package. I'm not gonna go through the details of this bag because it's very similar to the other bag. It's got a main compartment, a top compartment, and on the side is a new-ish, kind of new tripod, but I swear every time someone sees me with it, they ask me what it is, because these, although amazing, are not that common. So this is the Heapy 3-in-1 travel tripod, and I've reviewed it in a YouTube short, so I'm not gonna go into it in detail, but the idea is that it is one tripod, and then the top comes off, or you can extend the center column, which is like a triple center column, in order to get a little bit more height or adjust it. But then you can take it directly out and you have a whole separate kind of mini tripod. And then let's say you brought another tripod head with you. Well, there is a screw that's on here that you could take the tripod head, screw it on. So you could have like one tripod, two tripods, or put them together and it's 3 tripods. But in terms of features and weight and size, this is very comparable to the Ulanzi Zero Y, except it does have that kind of more sturdy, more rigid, more traditional ball head design that takes a lot more weight than the Ulanzi Common Zero Y tripod. So one to consider if you have a little bit more budget. Another piece of gear that I'll bring with me if I don't wanna bring a tripod, but I know I'm probably gonna wanna set my camera down to maybe do some vlogging, is this guy. So this is actually my desktop tripod. This is the PGY Tech Mantis Pod, kind of like famously replaced the Gorilla Pod, but it is a mini tripod. You can kind of adjust it. You can adjust how low it sits, and I believe the top also comes off, and there's like a little bit of a ball head that you can adjust. But it is nice because it will sit flat on a bench or on a desk or on top of your camera bag, or you can even use it as like a selfie vlogging stick. So you set your camera in and you can kind of like hold your camera and hold it out so you get a little bit more reach. So my Action 30 has a roll top design that, much like the Urban Explorer, is just where I store all of my extra stuff. So in this case, I literally just have my Beyond clothing soft shell. Again, if it gets a little bit cold out and I need something extra, I'll throw that on. And on both shoulder straps, I have 2 more of the Falcam quick release plates. And so I will grab my camera, which has the F38 plate on it, slide it in. I can put one there, and then I can put another one here if I'm testing 2 cameras at once. Inside of this bag is where it gets a little bit more intense because there is a little bit more gear. And to show you really quickly, you can see I have my Canon R5 II in the middle. I have the Hasselblad off to the side, and then there's some little goodies kind of just shoved in everywhere. Usually I will have my 15 to 35, but right now I've also got the 24 to 70 attached. And then usually I'll also take the 7200 and throw it in this bag. But today I have the Hasselblad X2D. And usually if I'm bringing a second camera, the lens isn't attached. So I have the wide angle lens because lately I've been doing a lot of wide angle landscape photography, and this, which is a 20 to 35 medium format, is more like a 16 to 28 millimeter if you were to convert it into full frame. Normally, if I'm bringing more than one camera with me, it's because one of the cameras is dedicated to video and the other is dedicated to photo. Now, there are a few other accessories that I need to bring with me if I know I'm gonna shoot video. You probably saw this little white pouch and wondered what the heck it was. Well, you can't buy this pouch and you can't buy those 2 little green pouches that I showed you earlier because I actually made these. And inside of them is where I like to store a lot of my little bits and pieces. So inside this one is where I have all of my spare batteries. So I have a spare Hasselblad battery and then some spare Canon batteries. We've got Allen keys, spare headphones for monitoring audio, a USB headphone splitter, a spare tripod plate, and one of these, which is the cap for the Canon R5 II. If you know, you know. You took it off once and you never put it back on. At the bottom of my bag, in the spare little compartment, I have a solid state drive in case I need to offload files, a cable to charge my MacBook, and some spare step-up rings because the 70 to 200 is a 77 millimeter thread. So if I want to use any of my ND filters that are 82, that's what that's for. And then I have a 67 for one of my spare lenses. If I know I'm gonna be shooting in low light conditions, or maybe I wanna shoot a lot of portraits and I wanna shoot at a low aperture, I actually have the 35 millimeter VCM that is from Canon that will get swapped in and out of my camera bag. Now that is a 67 millimeter thread, so that step-up ring will just screw right onto the front. And then I could take any of my lens filters and just thread them right onto the front. But the problem is that now I can't use a lens cap. So you may have seen that little rubber piece. And this is a stretchy, rubberized, universal lens cap. It looks a little bit ridiculous, but the idea is there so that if you're using a step-up ring, or maybe you don't want to bring a bunch of different lens caps with you, you can bring one, and then when you need to cover up that one lens, it kind of just sits right on the front. It does kind of look ridiculous though. Now, if I want slightly cleaner audio, I'll actually use this, which is the Rode VideoMic NTG. And the nice thing, not only does it have the big fluffy dead cat to cancel out all that wind noise, but it has capsules, much like a shotgun mic does, that cancels out side noise and captures noise that's in front of you. So essentially, whatever you point this microphone at, it will capture that sound. And you can plug this directly into your camera with the standard kind of headphone style jack that it comes with, or you can plug it into your computer or charge it also via the USB-C port. So if you want to do a voiceover, you can set this in, your computer will recognize it as an audio device. You can select it, go into Premiere Pro, go into your recording software, and then just hit record and kind of hold it like this and do a really great sounding voiceover. You can do the same thing with wireless kind of handheld mics. I showed you the DJI mic, and the other one that I really like, and is the one that I'll typically keep inside of my bigger kit, is the Rode Wireless Pro. So this is the bigger brother to the Rode Goes, Wireless Goes. Basically, Rode makes a whole bunch of different products. This is the one that has 32-bit float inside of each of the recorders. So you grab this little guy, which also has a windsock on it. The DJI ones have windsocks, these ones have windsocks, and then you can clip it on, or I actually like to clip it on to like a hat, but then you plug in the receiver into the camera. Now, I've vlogged with this before. I've vlogged where I'll just wear this all day, or wear it on a necklace, or wear it on my jacket, and then just make sure. The risk with a wireless system is that it doesn't always transmit perfectly, hence why the transmitters have that built-in 32-bit recording. So sometimes I'll just hit it to record and let that run all day as my backup. But regardless of which system you go with, if you want good, high-quality sounding audio, I'd recommend the DJI mics, the Rode Wireless Pros, or the VideoMic NTG. If I know I'm gonna be out shooting long exposures, I'll actually bring a remote shutter with me. So this one that I have here is wireless, and there are two components to it. So this part attaches to your camera, and then you plug it in, and then this is the remote. So if you want to trigger your camera without touching your camera, or if you want to do an interval timer and your camera doesn't have an intervalometer built in, that's what this is for. And you'll want to get one that's specific to your camera. In this case, this one is for the R5 and the R5 Mark II, and it just plugs right into the front, then goes into the unit, and then you trigger this wirelessly. Now, I'll use this if I'm doing astrophotography, because in that way I won't introduce any extra camera shake or movement if I go to touch my tripod, or I go to adjust any of the settings, or hit the shutter. I can walk away, hit it, and I know that my camera is gonna be taking a photo. Or the other reason you might wanna use one is if you know you're gonna be taking a photo and you wanna trigger your camera from far away, and you don't wanna rely on the Canon Connect app or your camera's app, because sometimes those have a limited distance. These wireless remote triggers will actually go farther, and you actually see I put it inside of a little Peak design case because I didn't know what else to use this for, and I felt like it was the perfect use for this little bag. And then a bonus piece of gear that I've only just started using because Peter Lindgren just sent one to me is the Tri-Charge. This is probably the single most interesting piece of camera gear to come out over the last year. Not only because it can charge 3 camera batteries all at once. So you can get this for Sony, for Fuji, for Canon, for Lumix. You can charge via USB-C, which means you don't need to bring a separate wall adapter and plug it into the wall. You can charge it from a computer, you can charge it from one of those Anker power supplies. But then, now in my other camera bag, I had a separate USB power bank. But this also operates as a USB-C power bank. Meaning, let's say your phone runs out of juice. Well, there is an out port on the other side of this where you can plug in a USB-C cable, and now it will use your camera batteries to charge your phone, or to charge your device, or to charge your rocket blower, or to charge any of your other USB-C powered devices. Which is awesome because it means I can save space and save weight, and half of the time you don't use all of your camera batteries. They're there just in case. Like typically I will bring about 3 camera batteries with me, but now it gives those camera batteries a second purpose. So this, all of the tripods, all of the cameras, everything that I mentioned will be linked down in the description below, because that is all of my camera gear from all of my 3 camera bags from the last year, and probably will be my gear going into the next year, unless any new lenses and new cameras are released new. But if there's anything you think I should add to my camera bags, or any gear that you want to see me test, let me know down in the comments below. Make sure you check out those links, as it helps support this channel and everything that I do. And until the next one, gotta grab multiple cameras here, but get out, grab your camera, and go shoot photos.